Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. The question of the day: would you agree that inflammation is at the root of most chronic diseases? Here's what most people don't realize. Long before conditions like gout, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer show up, there is a silent process happening inside the body: low-grade chronic inflammation. You don't feel it. You don't see it, but it's there, slowly building over time. See, before gout, there was inflammation. Before high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes, there was inflammation. Before many cases of cancer, there was inflammation. It doesn't start with the diagnosis. It starts with years earlier inside of your cells. And here's the problem. Most people are waiting for their doctor to tell them something's wrong. But by the time it shows up on standard lab work, the damage has already been done. Low-grade chronic inflammation isn't something for most doctors that they actually look for or test for. Some people are walking around for years thinking they're fine until they're not. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to wait. You can test for this in the privacy of your home. No doctor required. And once you know your inflammation score, you can finally begin to address what's really going on or taking place inside your body, inside your cells, before it turns into something more serious. Here's the deal. We're going to have a conversation about it. And I want to have that conversation in a way where you walk away and you feel like you gain some additional knowledge as it pertains to your health. Now, many people will say, well, Robert, if it's that important, if it's that serious, if it's all that you're saying, why aren't my doctors testing for it? They're not. And most of them don't know. But let me share, I pulled out a couple of research papers before we dive in and I explain the details of this. Reading directly from research paper I just pulled today. It says research from institutions like the National Institute of Health, Harvard, Tufts, and leading European universities continues to show that this score that I'm talking about, as far as inflammation, is one of the most powerful markers of inflammation at the cellular level. Think about it. Imagine we're sitting at your house and we're just going to have a conversation. And if you guys have questions, post them in the chat. I will answer them to the best that I can. If I don't have the answers, then I don't have the answers. But before you experience many of the chronic conditions that people are experiencing, there was low-grade chronic inflammation taking place. And when I survey and ask people this question, I say, do you believe that the base for most chronic diseases is low-grade chronic inflammation? Every doctor I talk to says yes. Every health coach I talk to says yes. Every personal trainer I talk to says yes. Every health conscious person I talk to says yes. And then I ask them, how do you know? They don't. Because they haven't tested for it. And the test I'm talking about is this. On a cellular level, you will know if there's some low-grade chronic inflammation. And once you know, you can actually do something about it. See, if I were you and you're in the business of health, okay, well, it is hot today, let me tell you. Everyone would benefit from knowing what I'm sharing with you. Everyone. And what I can tell you when it gets to this thing called a balance of omega-6 to omega-3, 99% of everybody living in Canada, the United States of America, Mexico are out of balance. That's not my opinion. That's hardcore facts. And when you look at it globally, 97%. And when you look at all of the diseases and the health challenges that are connected to low-grade chronic inflammation, yet no one is aware of it. Like some of you are hearing this for the first time. When I learned about this easy test that you can do in the privacy of your home, after being in the space of nutrition, health, weight loss, at the time, 29 years, now I'm in my 31st year, I was blown away at this. And Jack LaLanne, who is one of my mentors, used to tell me all the time, he says, Robert, if you're excited about something, don't keep it a secret. How could you keep it a secret when it could potentially help somebody? And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people I've introduced this to that are in fitness can't even see the value. They run from it. This is why you must become your own health advocate. Do not wait on everybody else to come. Get the test, and then there's no guessing. Some of you don't have gout yet. Some of you haven't experienced lupus yet. Some of you have not experienced dementia yet. Everything that I'm mentioning, the precursor is low-grade chronic inflammation. You can't fix what you don't know. And as I always say, if you don't address the inflammation, you can't change the situation. So what is the protocol? Well, I have a product, and I'm not here to sell you today. This is about you being informed. I want to talk about the test because everyone deserves it. Some of you have lost your parents. Some of them had brain challenges, maybe got cancer, maybe whatever it is that happened to them. Some of them, if they had addressed inflammation that was a big part of their life, you never know. They could still be right here. And the quality of their life could have been better. And we could go conspiracy. This is not a conspiracy thing. This is a factual thing. There was a bunch of doctors in 2016 that did a major study. And they wanted to see if the average person had insufficient levels of omega-3. And they went global with it. And at the time, they reported back and said 98% of everybody in the United States, Mexico, and Canada are not getting enough omega-3s. How do we know today that it's now 99%? Because there's a test. We're not guessing. It's not my opinion. It's not my feelings. It's like I was talking to my sister earlier today, and she wants to get into health, and she wants to help people, and she's got a whole bunch of ideas and blah, 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 right? Which is great. But I said, if you don't put inflammation at the forefront, you're not helping people with their health. You're lying to people because they're not addressing the root of the problem. Now, what I like to do sometimes, I say, when I do presentations today, if I'm talking to a big group, I say, get out your AI, fact check me the whole time. Seriously. Because I'm sharing with you a fact. I'm sharing with you a truth. Low-grade chronic inflammation is real. And some of you right now are thinking, you know what? When I go see my doctor and get my next lab work, I'm going to ask my doctor to check my inflammation. I'm talking about cellular inflammation, not the signs that they look at when they draw blood. I'm not talking about a C-reactive protein, right? What happens to you in the morning or the day before could play a huge role on if you're going to have signals, signs of inflammation when they draw blood. But when you look at the health of the cell membrane, that's where you're going to get the truth. And many of you deserve to have the truth. And that's why I'm taking the time to just talk about the importance of a test. Not selling a product. I've fallen in love with the test. When I first discovered the test, I knew that this company had a product. I knew it. Okay, made sense. But I just wanted the test. And then I was talking to one of their lead scientists, if not the lead. And he said, well, Robert, once your clients get the test and find out that they have low-grade chronic inflammation, then what? You're going to tell them to eat fish every day and twice on Sunday? Because that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to eat fish a lot. And today, a lot of people don't even like fish. Then I laughed. I said, okay, well, let me put your product to the test. And so I took their product, did my due diligence. It's been over 2 years now. I've seen amazing things happen. And it's backed by science. And more importantly, it's backed by a test. Because I'll have someone else say, you know, I'm taking an omega-3. I said, okay, God bless you. But let's test it. So I've had 22 different people who were taking 22 different omega-3s and fish oils. We did the test on all 22 of them. And all 22 of them failed miserably, meaning they were wasting their money. The product was not working. It's not working. Why would you take a product when you can verify if it's working or not with the tests and keep taking the product? That person's probably either got a strong confirmation bias. They don't want to look at anything else. They're in denial. They're a little bit delusional. And I don't mean to be insulting. I'm just sharing with you guys what I've seen. And this is I told my daughter today, I'm going to do a Candid Thursday. Let's just be candid. Let's take it to the barbershop. We're in the barbershop and let's be candid. Because I was in the barbershop earlier today, and this is what I asked the people in the barbershop. I said, hey, do you guys believe that inflammation plays a huge role in why we get chronic disease? And everybody in the barbershop, it was a whole bunch of brothers, Mexicans, and we're all having a good conversation. And I threw that in there, and everybody, different educations, different intelligent level, everybody agreed. Everybody agreed. If everybody agreed, then it set me up when I said, well, how do you guys know if you have inflammation? Got quiet. Right? Everybody got quiet. And then you had a few people that wanted to have an answer, and they were throwing out their answers. And I said, hey, and I didn't have it with me sitting in the chair. But I said, there's a way you can test. And my barber is going through chemo at the time, and he's all ears. And I shared with everybody, I said, look, his name is Ken. Before Ken was diagnosed with cancer, he had low-grade chronic inflammation happening. It was already happening. The sad part is that his doctors nor he ever tested. So then you live in this world of, man, what if he had tackled or addressed low-grade chronic inflammation? What if he had done that 10 years ago? Would he eventually, or maybe not, experience what he's going through right now? We'll never know. But what I do know is that all of the textbooks, physiology, biology, go do your AI on it, they all are in agreement. National Institute of Health, in full agreement with what I'm talking about. Tufts University, full agreement. Harvard, full agreement. University of North Carolina, full agreement. I could keep going. And this is for because I get some doctors that come on here and they get upset sometimes. Like, what are you getting upset about? Just because I know something that you don't know, and I know a lot more about nutrition than most doctors. And they know a whole bunch more about, taking hearts out and doing what they do. But at the end of the day, let's go for the facts. Let's just look at the truths. Inflammation needs to be addressed. And some of you are gaining weight because of inflammation. Many of you don't even realize this, that inflammation is a driver for depression. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? At one point, I didn't know that. And then when you look at it even closer, like I did a talk yesterday where I talked about eating fried chicken, how to eat fried chicken, how to eat fried fish in a healthier way. It's not the oil, because it's still fried. So what is it? Well, when you eat something that's rich in fat and rich in carbs, like fried chicken, there's flour, right? A lot of fat. And you got the oils. They've been oxidized. When you consume that, what happens is in your gut, there's a bacteria that gets produced called lipopolysaccharides. Lipopolysaccharides, and you can look it up. And when this happens, it creates some inflammation in the gut, and you can experience this thing called leaky gut. And if you want to stay scientific, the gut lining becomes permeable, almost like things can get through it that we don't want to get through it. And when that lipopolysaccharides get into circulation, which it does, you experience systemic inflammation from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And that can mess with your mood, and that can trigger a whole bunch of problems. So where does omega-3s come in? Omega-3s help reduce the negatives that will come about with lipopolysaccharides. So when I go to my mom's house and she's going to make some fried fish because I'm going to eat it, or if I go somewhere and they're going to have some fried chicken and I want to try it out, I'm going to do a shot of my omega-3s with polyphenols, and I know that it blunts the potential negatives. And that's not my opinion. Multiple studies have demonstrated this. So as a black man who knows about fried chicken and grew up eating it every day, my mom used to say she don't understand why I don't look like a chicken. Maybe I do. But here's the reality. Every black family, every family that makes some fried food like that should be doing a shot of this thing that I take every day called Balance Oil. Every day. You would have, if you knew what I knew, you would be a fool. And I'm not calling anybody a fool, but you would be a fool not to know what your numbers are. And then once you know your numbers, to do something about it. And you could try your product. You could eat fish every day, nonstop, and test again. And if your approach works, the test is going to prove it. The proof is right here. Oh, man. Okay. I think I did my job. So I want to have some fun with you guys, answer some questions. Oh, I only stayed in the States when I was going through the paper. When I look at University of Oslo, same thing. They're looking at the same inflammation scores. Karolinska Institute, University of Southampton, all over PubMed, Springer Nature, Oxford Academic. I mean, it's everywhere, all over Japan. Everybody would benefit from knowing what I'm sharing with you, because every life matters. Everyone's health matters. This is not some game. So whenever I meet health coaches and dietitians and nutritionists, and they're talk, if they're not addressing inflammation, that's an injustice. And they can check me. I would love to be checked and be proven wrong on this. Please. I put it out there all the time. I would love to debate with anyone on it. There's no debate. Inflammation is real. They're just not testing for it. And once you know, you know. All right. Let me see. Who caught me? All right. My sister caught me. She says, praise God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Whoop, whoop. I'm glad you caught this, April, because you can set yourself apart in the early stages of getting into nutrition and health by addressing inflammation. Because most of the gurus and the people who think they're gurus, they're not. And not just talking about it, but actually being able to say, hey, everyone in this room, we can test and find out. No guessing, not my opinion. And once they get it, and you know that you can reduce your risk of all types of chronic diseases to include dementia and Alzheimer's. I mean, everybody I know in their 60s and 70s and 80s, that's one of the last, they don't want that. So if you can reduce your risk scientifically, why wouldn't you? And you'll know if you reduce it because your numbers will be better. If your numbers ain't better, then we got to figure out what else to do. And I can tell you right now, all my clients' numbers are better. All of them. And we got Shirley, who I went over Shirley's numbers today. What's up, Shirley? She says, good information to share with anyone that does not attend tonight. If they give themselves time, and hopefully I'm not annoying and I don't make them not want to listen. If I can keep them here just for 20 minutes, I think they'll get it. I believe if someone's watching the replay or you're here live, I believe you guys got it. Let me know in the comments. Just let me know if I'm not making sense. I'm okay with that. I don't take it personal. I don't. So April says, I had chronic inflammation. I know it's better because my symptoms from arthritis is almost gone completely. Now, April did get the test. And April, if you find your test, we can go over your test. And that test will prove that you had low-grade chronic inflammation. See, there's people walking around that are saying they have low-grade chronic inflammation and they have no proof. And then you ask them, okay, you have low-grade chronic inflammation. How do you know? I'm puffy. I feel bloated. That's not proof. Now, if they go to their doctor and the doctor does a C-reactive protein test, and okay, and we can see that there's inflammation. I mean, yeah. Okay. Then that's some proof. We're talking about cellular proof. Okay. Cellular. What's up, Lynn? Lynn said it's in the brain and has to do with brain disorders. 1,000%. 1,000%. They've done study after study after study. They've even done randomized placebo-controlled trials. Okay. And that's a big deal, you guys, with thousands of people in prisons where they can control the food. And what they discovered was after a year of doing this with thousands of inmates, the inmates that were getting an adequate amount of omega-3 reduced poor behavior by 37%. They've proven in study after study after study, hear me on this, Lynn, hear me on this, April, that when you have an adequate amount of omega-3s, which we can test and find out, you reduce suicidal thoughts by 50%. You increase perceived happiness by 30%. This is not one study. Dr. Joseph Himlin can show you hundreds of studies, not just in America, not just in Ireland, but all over the world. Mental health, oral health, visual health, health. Now we could go into a deep conversation, but we won't, because I'm going to keep you guys just for a couple more minutes. And what I mean by a deep conversation would mean, how did we get here? Because in 1960, the average person, if tested, was in balance. They were good. So what happened between 1960 and as I do this video right now in 2020, what happened? Now I know I have the data and the facts and the historical timeline. I know how we got here. And the reality is there's something we can do about it, because if you wait on the government or if you wait on your doctor to figure it out, most doctors, and this is not a put down on doctors because I respect them. I have friends who are doctors. They worked hard, blah, blah. But their training, it was not this. It's not part of the standardized treatments. If it was, there'd be less people living and experiencing chronic disease. That would hurt the healthcare system. You know, it's kind of like when you hear people talk about GLP-1 drugs. Did you guys know that since 1964 to now, there's been over 25 FDA approved obesity-based drugs put into population, like the ones right now. And all of them eventually get pulled and are no longer available because of all the negatives that end up showing up later. History repeats itself. The same thing has already happened. It's just a matter of time. My prediction, these drugs will not be here in 5 years. I'll be blown away if they're still here. But people don't look at history, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Any questions for me? Dun, dun, dun. Let me go back. Inflammation is a beast. All right, look at Melody. I'm glad you jumped on, Melody. She said, I just got her test in the mail. She just got her test in the mail, which I'm so excited because you're taking control of your health. Like, I mean, game changer. She said, never thought I'd be so psyched to find out what levels of inflammation I have. And I look forward to getting on a phone call and walking you through your test results, Melanie, because everything is going to change. And who knows? It's like if you could look into the future, right? If you look into the future and you aren't in balance and your inflammation is elevated, and you can see that, man, if I was not experiencing low-grade chronic inflammation, I would have never got prostate cancer. I would have never got gout. I would have never experienced multiple sclerosis. All of these things are linked to low-grade chronic inflammation, something that no one is addressing on a regular basis. This is the fact. We're seeing kids who are autistic make major changes. Because when you hear omega-3, it's not just omega-3, that's a number. And not all omega-3s work. And let me answer that question. And I hope someone didn't leave too early, because I'll hear people say, well, I found a cheaper product. If you find a cheaper product and it gets you in balance and your inflammation scores are good, please let me know, because I'll buy it. I will. If someone can find a product, because I've been looking for 2 years, there is none at this moment in time. I'm sure the day is going to come when people start waking up and realize the importance of addressing inflammation. But right now, the only one that's working is this one. And Melanie, while I got you here, I don't know if your health coach and buddy shared this with you, Magda. But how I take it is I have a shot glass. I fill it halfway with water. And then I pour a little less than a cap full of oil into the cap. And then I pour the oil in the cap into the shot glass with the water. And then I do a shot. I don't recommend you take it straight. The experience may not be a good one. Now, some people like it like that, but every person I have do what I just mentioned. Shot glass, fill it halfway with water, pour it in the cap, pour the oil into the shot glass with water, and then do it. Their experience is great. Now, after that, if you want to try it, hey, go for it. There's a psychology to all of that. Because if you have a bad experience in the beginning, then it may turn you off. And then for the people who are like, well, I don't really know if I want to do an oil, is there not? They have capsules. Just do the capsules. I have capsules and oil. When I travel, I have the capsules. It's up to you. But yeah. All right. Let me see. Where was I going? I was about that. Oh, what makes it work? What makes it different? Okay. So let me get in my, I want to make sure I get this right. Well, I want to say it in a way that it can be repeated to other people. Okay. So number one, let me start, and I've never done this before. Let me tell you why most of the other omega-3s that are just omega-3s, why they don't work. Omega-3 is a polyunsaturated fat. It's essential. It's very fragile, meaning it can oxidize quick. And oxidize basically means it burns up, it's useless in the body. So we want these omegas to be consumed and get into our cells. And if you consume it, it's got to go into your stomach. There's a lot of heat there. It's got to get into the small. I mean, there's a lot that has to go through. Well, if you add polyphenols to it, which are antioxidants, they're very protective. They are like a bodyguard for free radicals, for oxidation. Well, all those other products, they don't have polyphenols. They just have omega-3s and maybe a vitamin E antioxidant. But without that chaperone to ensure the omega-3s stay intact and get to its destination, which is in the cells, without polyphenols, that's why people don't do well on the test. And I've had people, I get a high quality omega-3. I spend a fortune for my omega-3. The company I go to, they're the best. It's high level. Test it then. I've had people tell me that, and we do the test and they don't pass. So you can think all day that you got it going on. Do the test. If it's all that, you're going to pass the test. It ain't all that. You would pass the test. The only one I keep seeing continuously passing the test is this one, because 60% of what's in this bottle is omega-3s. The other 40% is polyphenols. So you got some people out there. I had this one client a couple years ago. She called me. She goes, I'm not going to do this, because she found something that was half the price. And I go, that does not make sense, or I must have done a horrible job explaining this. She goes, like, what do you mean? I said, you have a test. You want to get your test better. If you use this product, after 4 months, they're going to give you a free test so you can do it before and after. She goes, no, I think it works. I think it works. So she obviously is not understanding that before all of these diseases, low-grade inflammation exists. And why would you take a poorly proven product? You know what? And she's graduated college, has a real good job, 6 figures. That just proves that just because you go to college and you make 6 figures, that doesn't mean that you're intelligent, that you have a true ability to learn. Lord bless her. I don't know whatever happened to her, but she missed it. All right. Anyway, so I think Melody asked the question, are you sure that's water? Just kidding. Oh, vodka. No vodka for me. Let me tell you, not right now. I'm not doing any of that. This is water. Trust me. 100%. If I was having a cocktail, I would let you know. Because I'd be like, let's do a toast, everybody. But not for me. Nope, not right now. I got a couple new goals in mind. All right, let me see here. We got Sandy Cotters. Like, if you have a nail that rusts, you can't use it anymore. I think that was on the point I was making. Let me see. April asks, how can I introduce others to the product and the lifestyle? Then you will call me and I'm going to show you how you can do it. You could actually become a partner. And there's a way to be a partner where you can get your product for free just by introducing it to people. Even customers can get their product for free. All you got to do is refer a few people. Like Melody, you know people. Once you get your tests and you get your results and you're talking to someone, if they're into health, you'll just say, hey, look at my test. My big push in this video is the importance of the tests, because that's what separates the product from everything else. There's a test, and the test is done by a third party. It's called Vitas. It's one of the most respected laboratories in the world that does this type of testing that includes vitamin D testing, hemoglobin A1C testing, gut health testing, and of course, getting your inflammation scores, this type of testing. And they got more tests coming. So the company that has the product is not the company that does the testing. Complete separate. And there's no way when you send in your test that they know who you are. They don't know. It's anonymous. So when you do your next test, anonymous, all you have is a different code. There's no way they would know. So your test is your test. The blood work doesn't lie. So all I can tell you guys is that I don't have low-grade chronic inflammation. And I know that 99% of the population does. Let's see how that works out over time. But I don't. How do I know that? The test. What's up, Angela? Angela caught me. Well, thank you guys for jumping on. I wanted to do an impromptu because I'm like, Lord, I need to send a video to people when they tell me I'm taking a different product. I'm trying this. I go, that's fine. Just do the test. Any last questions before I say goodbye? And thank you guys for liking. If you're here and you like some of the information that I'm sharing, you can hit subscribe. Also, whenever I upload a video or go live, you'll get a notification. You can catch me at that moment, or you can come back and watch it if it makes sense to you. I talk about a lot of different things, but everything I talk about is about living in what I call a diet-free life, and it's all about information that can make it where you're informed. And I believe that when people are informed and not misinformed or completely uninformed, then people can make better decisions when it comes to your health. And your health is important, because when you lose it, no matter how many problems you have, as Mr. Frank Kimbrough says, when you get sick, you got one that you can't get out of your head. Nobody wants to try to figure out better health after you get sick. And if there's things that we can do to reduce the risk of all chronic diseases, why wouldn't everyone do that? Everyone would. Okay, Angela says, was great. Thank you. She says, we'll be sharing this replay with a lot of other people who need the test. Get the test. If just know where you are, just get the test. And get your kids tested. Get your husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends tested. Their health matters too. All right. Well, here we go. Melody says, I wonder if reducing my inflammation will have good effects on my skin and nerve pain. Well, we won't know until we know. I can only tell you what I've seen over the last couple years and heard from people. Fabulous. Like I just had somebody the other day. We've had on our Tuesday call, we've had 6 people dealing with prostate challenges, men. All report their PSAs improved dramatically. And I just got another one yesterday. And if you go look up AI all day, every day, you'll see a connection with inflammation, prostate cancer. And you'll see that omega-3s are known to bring down inflammation, same as polyphenols. So the lab work, these guys, their PSAs are doing extremely well. Then we have people who have talked about inflammation, numbness, a lot of the challenges with their back, etc. I've had nothing but positives. I had one lady, I invited her tonight. I don't know if she made it or not. I call her Lady A. She was spending a fortune with her dry eyes. She couldn't even go outside and sit at the pool without having some extremely dark shades on. And she didn't just jump on board. She saw me post on Facebook. She reached out to me. I got her on the phone. I think she got her husband, family. They all got on board. I called her. I checked in. I was like, hey, how's it going? Because I've seen a whole bunch of people with dry eye. Like they don't have it anymore. 33 to be exact. And she goes, I don't know if it's in my head. She was optimistic, but she said, I'm going to wait until my tests. Well, fast forward, I kept reaching out. I get a text from her. And the text was like, Robert, she reminded me of everything she told me. She can go to the pool now without glasses. She was going to UCLA and going to all these specialists. Nothing was helping. The discomfort was bad. The only thing she changed in her life is she got in balance. She went from being out of balance with not good inflammation scores to imbalance, good inflammation scores. And now she can go to the pool without wearing sunglasses. I could go on and on and on. There's a whole bunch of people that are on here that caught us live that could share their stories. Maybe Thursdays when I have like a rant like this and just want to get on and just start talking. Anybody want to join me, let me know. Because I think I'm going to start doing that because it felt good to just let it out. Okay. Oh, so Susie said, hey, I see it's hot in Ventura. See, where I live, you guys, there is no air conditioning. Well, there's one side of Ventura that has air conditioning where I live and another side that doesn't. So when we have these, we have like 5 crazy hot days a year. And it's like, you know, it's a beach city, a city. So, I mean, we always got some, I mean, the weather's beautiful. I mean, year round, we're 70, 75. I mean, we're complaining if it hits 60, right? But when we have these hot spells that hit 90, 95, it is like almost, it's not good. So we got a couple more days and it'll be over. So I'm not going to complain because I know some people are in some cold weather right now and that's not fun either. So I'm not complaining. Let me see here. What is Lynn saying? I have a lot to say. Okay. What do you have to say, Lynn? You want to come on live? Huh? You want me to like send you a link? You want to come on here right now? Like go live? Oh man. Okay, let me see. Angela says stories to share. Good night, all. It's almost 10. You know what? I stayed on way longer than I thought I was gonna stay on. Okay. Thank you guys. And I did bring some videos I was going to play. So what I'll do is I'm going to go out on one video. It's 22 seconds long. It's Dr. Artemis Simopoulos. She's the world leader when it comes to what we're talking about right now. And I want you to hear from her. She's 92 years old. She's the most cited specialist in this area. She's a nutrition researcher, endocrinologist. She'll be 93 in April 2026. She's still writing books. She's written all kinds of books. She's referenced by all kinds of people all over the world. And I want you to hear from her, and that'll be it. All right. Thank you. Bless you. Until the next one.
From clinical studies and animal experiments that inflammation is at the base of all chronic diseases, whether it is cardiovascular disease, whether it is cancer, if it is arthritis. Obesity is an inflammatory disease. Obese people have pro-inflammatory cytokines. People with diabetes.
In a world of dice, there's a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, your health's